You are watching Travel World Online.
Indian Chamber of Commerce organized a roundtable discussion on the topic, Is Indian tourism outpricing itself? And challenges in the aviation and tourism industry. Stalwarts from all verticals of travel industry participated in the event. On the occasion, Indian Chamber also gave farewell to Arvind Singh, former Secretary Tourism, Government of India.
I think we were just having our internal meeting. So we just finished the round of introductions in another 2-3 minutes and then. Well friends, I have seen a few chairmen of the airport authority, but when I first met him, that time he was chairman of the airport authority. And I don't remember what the issue was, but I just, without an appointment, went to the office and I asked the secretary, and he said that he's one chairman who always keeps his door open, and any issue, anyone he has to be free. If he's in a meeting or something, then it's not possible. So he was with some people, so I did some other work and came back, and he was kind enough to meet me, and whatever the issue was, on the spot, I don't even remember because we represent 12 international airlines, so किसी ना किसी Sri Lankan की issue था. So he immediately, without without knowing me, without anything, he immediately. So I have become personally his admirer. And when he, there was a rumor going on that he'll become the Secretary Civil Aviation. So, but instead of Civil Aviation, he became Secretary Tourism. और tourism में, you see, he's done wonders. Mr. Arvind Singh ji is an Indian Administrative Service Officer from 1988 batch. He was Secretary, Government of India, Ministry of Tourism. He holds a bachelor's and a master's degree from St. Stephen's College and a master's degree from Delhi School of Economics. I was your neighbor, so I did my MBA from FMS. It was that time a part of Delhi School of Economics, and then it became separate. Mr. Singh held the post of Chairman Airport Authority of India. Mr. Arvind Singh has taken the initiative of bringing forth the most essential tourism developments. He played a major role in promoting sustainable tourism, responsible tourism, and contributed his vision to tourism policy. And most important, he was there as secretary during the G20. And all the initiatives of G20 that have taken place have taken place, under his leadership. When I approached him for, the weddings and film event that we were doing, he immediately agreed, and he was kind enough to come all the way to Noida to be our chief guest there. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have him in the Indian Chamber of Commerce, and please, we would like to welcome you. Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome, sir. It's our pleasure to have you with us. The Indian Chamber of Commerce is from 1925. Mr. Birla, G.T. Birla, with the blessings of Gandhiji, was the one who started this chamber. It is the first ever Chamber of Commerce in India, and at that time the capital, the financial capital of the country was Bengal, as Goel Saab was just mentioning a little while back. That is the reason why our headquarters remains Calcutta. Amongst other chambers, this is the chamber that does the maximum amount of groundwork, right? So this is the strength of this chamber. And we are in every sector. We have various national committees. Mr. Goel, of course, represents tourism. He's a very, very tall figure in this area. But we are also represented in every other industrial sector of the country. And I am personally the chairman of the northern region. So the northern states increasing membership drive, taking up policy advocacy issues which are more regional specific. This is the charter that I have. Once again, very, very warm welcome to you.
Would you like to add something about the chamber, Mr. Sani?
So, in fact, in continuation to what my colleague Mr. Kanodia said, the chamber has 11 offices in India. We have 2,000 plus direct members who pay, and that's a renewal that happens every year. We have around more than 100 employees, spread across these 11 offices. Incidentally, we are the only national chamber whose headquarters remains in Kolkata, as Mr. Kanodia pointed out. We also have a very, very strong international outreach. So, the organization organizes around 250 conferences, symposiums, summits, delegations every year. And out of that, at least 50 are international delegations, incoming or outgoing. So, we work closely with the Ministry of Commerce, and we are the nodal agency for Government of India to handle India's outreach on power, energy, homeland security, defense, textiles under MAI scheme. We also do few programs supported by Government of India, Ministry of MSME on food processing side globally. Like this year, we are going to Abu Dhabi Food Festival, and MAI is something where few of us, including myself, we have divided the globe into continents, and each of the senior leaders, we oversee India's outreach and our members' outreach in those continents. So, like we have a head who handles Latin America. So, anything, any power exhibition, anything with respect to India's outreach in Latin America is handled by her. It's like that. We have a head for Oceania. So, anything with respect to textiles in Oceania is handled by her. In the defense and homeland security, we are highly respected. We handle India's participation in DefExpo and in the defense exhibitions in France, which is the largest defense programs worldwide. Raksha Mantri regularly travels with the organization in all this expo. Nikhil himself has traveled to Paris. And Bangkok also, there are 2-3 defense. Every country is not capable to host. So 2-3 large exhibitions happen, and we handle those along with Ministry of Defense and funded by Ministry of Commerce. The chamber is in the process of opening up its international offices, and we have decided on some of the locations. So it will be useful for many of you who are handling inbound and outbound tourism. Those locations I am not disclosing, but they are the most popular locations from the business point of view. If we have our offices, that will also be helpful for your suppliers or your trade, which can be used by us. The chamber has more than 60 committees now, and our Delhi office, handles around 20 committees. 1/3 of the chamber's operations in terms of committees, outreach is handled from Delhi office. So, and we have been doing fairly large conferences, programs, multi-country participations, and we were initially, last 10 years back, we were largely Kolkata kind of, but in the last 10 years, we have significantly, it is a Mumbai, we have our office in Bandra complex, Delhi, Hyderabad. So those kind of a national expansion has happened, and it's becoming truly a national chamber now. Our president, Mehul Mohanka, this is, I think, we have broken the tradition, he's from Kolkata, current president. Amaya Prabhu is taking over as the president of the chamber. He's from Bombay. His father was the commerce minister, Mr. Suresh Prabhu. And then Mr. Abhyuday Jindal, who is the vice president of the chamber, is from Delhi. He will take over next year. So, it's truly a national chamber with multiple committees, and under the leadership of Goyal Saab, so many committees have already got formed, and each one will play their role in terms of advocating on the policies. This is, I thought, it's important that I give the overall perspective of the chamber. Every day something or the other is happening in the organization. Like today, Goyal Saab is doing this. At the same time, there is a felicitation of police commissioner happening in some part of the world. Tomorrow again, there is a delegation to Dhaka that is happening. So every week, every day, something or the other is happening. Like yesterday, I had meetings with 3-4 bank chairmen in Chennai. So every day, some interaction, something, some activity is happening in some part of the world. I'll give you an interesting anecdote. In one day, we had one program in London, one in Dar es Salaam, one in Delhi, one in Dibrugarh. So all, all these, Delhi we had this yoga and Arugho Utsav in Habitat Center. Dibrugarh again, there was something to do with tourism. And Dar es Salaam, it was a power and energy. And London, it was again, India's, MSME, India's participation. So 4 teams were working in 4 locations.
Very nice.
So, I joined the Airport Authority of India in November 2019 after working in Maharashtra, which was my parent state, and my last assignment there was in the energy sector. I was Additional Chief Secretary Energy, and I handled a few power companies there. And I was part of the team because I have been associated with the power sector in Maharashtra since 2009. So from 2009 to 19, I worked for about 7 years, and we were part of the growth of Maharashtra. When I went from my last deputation in Delhi, Maharashtra had an energy deficit of 18% in 2009 because of the Enron debacle that most of you would be aware of. There had been no investment in power in Maharashtra since 1995. Because after Enron came, everybody thought that there's nothing new needed, neither the government nor the private sector. And the first power investment in generation capacity in Maharashtra came in 2009, and that too the princely amount of 250 megawatts in a highly industrialized and most urban state of the country. So you can imagine what happened. Since 95, 14 years there was no investment in power generation capacity while demand was growing. And Enron, the Dabhol plant was not working. So there was a deficit of 18%. There were load shedding there. And so that was a very interesting and very taxing time because there was a lot of investment that happened in Maharashtra in the power sector between 2009 and 14. A lot of generation capacity got built, transmission and distribution capacity also got built. And the state slowly, gradually became surplus in 2016. And it continues to be so after 2016. And when I left in 2019, of course it must have gone now up high. It was one of the highest states in per capita consumption, in total consumption also. The peak capacity then in 2019 was about 25,000 megawatts in summer. So you can imagine, of which Mumbai was 3,500 and the balance was the rest of Maharashtra. The next highest state was Karnataka at 18,000, so that was the gap. Then UP. So Maharashtra was by far the largest producer. It is and will continue to be so because it is a highly industrialized and urbanized state. So from there I came to the Airport Authority, and it was a very pleasant change because it was not a crisis time that time, and it was an organization that had been making profits since its inception for 25 years. So the mood was very positive there. There was a sense of can-do attitude, positive attitude, because if you're in an organization that's making a lot of money, it's profit-making, and thanks to the privatization of Delhi and Mumbai, GMR here and earlier GVK and now Adani, in Mumbai, there was a large amount of revenue that was coming in every year to the Airport Authority because of the privatization. And that revenue was being funneled into creating new infrastructure, new airports in the rest of the country. And so when you have a steady source of revenue coming in from 2 very large privatized airports, then you are in a very comfortable state. But nature, as they say, man proposes, God disposes. And within 3-4 months, the first wave of COVID came in. November 19 I joined, and COVID came in March 2020. And many of you would be aware or not aware that first 2 months, April and May, there was no transport happening in the country, either by road or rail. The only mode of transport in the country was air. I mean, limited, not passenger traffic, but only cargo traffic. And that time there was very limited capacity in the country, and I remember the times we spent those days. The rest of the country was in lockdown, many people were working from home, but we were back in office from April. 20th March to end of March, of course, we were also at home. but we have to get back to work in the beginning of April because things started coming in from China. Air India flights would go to China, bring PPE kits, bring testing equipment, bring other medicines, or go to Korea. And every flight that would go would come back with some COVID patients in the form of the crew, and still the next flight would go with more. And because there was actually virtually no production capacity in the country at that time. PPE kits were coming in hot from China and Korea, and then we would fly them to different parts of the country because there was nothing happened. And so such was the state in the months of April and May of 2020. Testing equipment was coming in from Korea and other countries. 25th May, I remember, the domestic air traffic was opened, and we expected about 250 flights to start on that day. They did, but as usual, the media came up with all kinds of things, bad start, this, that. Anyway, that is the job. But luckily, after that, the domestic sector has not looked back at. Domestic aviation is, as you know, it has reached today the pre-COVID level. It started with, as I said, only 250 flights on the first day. But today, there are more than 3,000 plus flights, if I'm correct. 700 aircraft are taking off every day. And domestic, the numbers have come back to the pre-COVID levels. You are aware of the expansion that's happening in the airports at a very rapid pace, thanks to the Udan scheme, thanks to the private sector, which is building new airports and coming up with new expansion facilities at Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, the Noida airport, then Mopa in Goa. The GMR is also working on a new airport in Andhra and Bhogapuram. So there is a significant amount of investment happening both from the Airports Authority of India and the private operators who have come in. And there is a lot of interest in that sector. And you are seeing it in the volumes of traffic growth that's happening at the airports. Pre-COVID, some of the largest volume of traffic growth was at the smaller airports. Airports like Ranchi, Bagdogra, Guwahati, Bhubaneswar, Raipur, they were showing more than 25% year-on-year growth, while the aviation sector was growing at 12% pre-COVID. These airports were showing more than 25%, and that was thanks to the penetration of the low-cost airlines and the building of new infrastructure and facilities. So, every day you hear the Honorable Civil Aviation Minister talks about the number of airports having gone up, the number of flights under the Udan scheme having gone up. The airlines are all coming back in one way or the other. On the international sector, of course, the Air India's performance and its disinvestment was an issue, and now with both Indigo and Air India adding a lot, number of planes, and also taking some on lease in the interim period before these actual ordered planes come, I think on the international side also you'll see significant action. So in India, there is definitely a large scope for the growth of the aviation because the penetration is low. The infrastructure and the potential that we are seeing from the airlines is very large. Already we are, if we are not there, we are one of the largest, third largest probably the civil aviation market, and the number of planes is going to go up. We, as I said, operate with 700 planes, but other countries operate with much more, with larger number of planes. They have larger area, but lesser population. So in that sector, we will see significant amount of growth in the number of planes, in the number of airports, the number of passengers traveling. So the future is very positive and hopeful there. On the tourism side, when I came in from the airport January 21, the first wave had, almost gone over. But then the second wave came, and when I met all the Mr. Khanna, Mr. Sarkar, Mr. Khanna, and all the others, initially they all had very long faces because in 2021, because they didn't know what had hit them, and nobody knew what had hit and how long it would last, what would be the repercussions. Because all around there were stories of job losses, revenue losses. People, one day Mr. Goel told me some very low-level, employees there, they're totally almost bankrupt, low-level, small companies, in the SME sector, and all that. So such was the severity of the pain and the loss in the sector in 2021. The second wave, of course, was even worse in 2021. But after the second wave, immediately after the second wave, we started seeing hopes of revival because the people who had been cooped up for almost a year in the country started traveling. And they started traveling in large numbers. So actually we can say they voted with their feet. And it happened slightly in 2021. Towards the end of the last quarter of calendar year 2021, all the leading hotel chains started, talking about 90% occupancy, 100% occupancy. 2022, of course, turned out to be a great boom year. Everyone all the top hotel companies are, talking about very high revenues, the best that they have seen, very high, occupancy rates, even RevPAR, revenue per person that they are showing, and they expect their share prices are also going up in the market and the stock exchanges. And the numbers that we are seeing in certain parts of the country. Kashmir, as Mr. Goel mentioned, the G20, that has also helped in different parts of the country where meetings have been held at around 60 locations. That has fueled interest and growth in those regions. When we went to Kashmir for the G20 in May, the Chief Secretary quoted that the figure of tourists who came to Jammu and Kashmir was 1.88 crores in 2022, which was the highest ever in 75 years since independence. And this year they expect that figure to cross 2 crores in 2023. And the highest in the valley, previous highest was 13 lakhs. And in 2022, the highest was 26 lakhs, the double of the previous highest. And this year they expect it to get better. So that's as far as Kashmir. Every day almost 40, 50 flights are landing in Srinagar, 35 flights in Jammu, 17 in Leh, Ladakh. And, people are traveling from all parts. And this is mainly domestic travelers because international travelers have still not started coming in significant numbers. Then, spiritual tourism has seen a boom because of investments by the state governments and local authorities, places like Varanasi, Ujjain, now Ayodhya is going to happen. And one important thing that you have seen is that this has not just attracted the lower strata of society, which we expected to be very, keen followers of religious tourism, but across the line. For instance, Varanasi, if you see the numbers the state government which is released, pre-COVID, the annual figures were 67 lakhs a year. Post-COVID, after the construction of the Kashi Vishwanath corridor and other facilities, the number is 7 crores, which is 10x, 10 times the pre-COVID numbers. Ujjain also, you hear similar figures of people coming in lakhs on the weekends after the construction of the work there. And similar stories of not only in religious tourism, but on weekends of places around the metros. You hear it's very difficult to get places in hotels. Most of the flights are full. Most of the, Mrs. Sija would say, the important trains which take people to tourism places, pilgrim locations are also full. And this has mainly happened on the strength of domestic tourism. Domestic tourists have come out in large numbers, paid significantly. They're paying very high tariffs, and international travel has still not reached that high level because of issues in different parts of the world, because of international airfares and the less number of capacity still on the international air sector. But it is expected that India is showing very high signs of recovery there also, one of the best in the Asia Pacific, and we should be there soon. So I think tourism, given the attention that it is getting at the highest levels of the government at the national level, and also at the state government levels, now states are competing. Certain states are talking about this. We want to develop alternative sites, or what are their strengths. You see some, policy tweaks in very important states that they want to attract a particular kind of tourist or a particular niche area of tourism, and some states are coming out with policies. We have seen that the Ladakh in Lakshadweep, already 2 islands have been given out to a private operator to build resorts, just like Maldives. So I think these are very encouraging signs. Plus the strength of our own economy. We are now one of the largest economies in the top 5, and we will grow further. Our per capita incomes will grow, the middle class size will grow, urbanization will increase, and naturally these will give a fillip to tourism. And everybody expects the tourism sector to grow leaps and bounds. Some say a figure of 1 trillion by 2047, some say 3 trillion. But whatever it is, the fact remains that it will only look up and be a very important contributor. I was going through recent figures, and one of the major contributors to growth in the Indian economy post-COVID has been the services sector, maybe the manufacturing. And within services, tourism is a very important feature which contributes significantly to foreign exchange earnings, to our GDP, and to employment at the local level. There are many parts of the country which are totally dependent on tourism for local employment. No manufacturing will go. You have to just go to Kashmir and certain hill stations or remote locations to see the employment and local economic development potential of tourism that it contributes to these remote areas or the far-flung areas where alternative sources of employment such as manufacturing or very remunerative agriculture are not available. Tourism is a great source of provider of livelihoods and employment in such regions. So with these words, and I'm sure that since you all are aware that you are in a sweet spot, so to speak, right now, and thank you for the chance that you've given me to share my thoughts with you, the farewell and the affection and guidance that I got from all of you during my tenure at the Airport Authority and Tourism. And I'll be based in Delhi, so I'll be definitely meeting you all off and on occasions otherwise. So thank you very much. And